From the heart of God's country, in the midst of the Great Smoky Mountains, it's Knoxville International Christian Film Festival presents, featuring creative Christians from around the globe, honoring God in the spirit of excellence and service. Now, your host, Rob Ekno.
Hi, I'm Rob Ekno. Welcome to another very powerful episode of Knoxville International Christian Film Festival Presents. Today we'll be in the great state of Texas with Dr. Lisa Burkhardt-Worley and her educational film, a gold medal winner, just so powerful, titled Their Blood Cries Out. The subject matter, the Holocaust.
All my rights were taken from me. I never laid them down. I dare not hope yesterday will find me. I long to dream of days gone by. Yet Hashem has heard my cry.
It is difficult to believe that anyone could deny the Holocaust, a mass genocide of 6 million Jews by the Nazi regime during World War II. However, Holocaust denial is becoming more prevalent across the world, even though countless photos and testimonies of survivors tell a different story.
They're lying, as simple as that. They're distorting. They're denying, and they can come to my face and say it never happened. I said, well, who am I? You know, you're denying me as well as history.
It is shocking to many of us that anyone could deny the Holocaust in the face of literally tens of millions of pages of documents, tens of thousands of testimonies. You know, the evidence is overwhelming. And the answer is it's not about evidence. It's about Jew hatred. It's about anti-Semitism. It's a removal of Jews from history.
Well, we're not just talking about hardcore deniers like the infamous David Irving or other neo-Nazi groups, but we're talking about people who are perfectly intelligent, God-fearing, well-meaning, but are spreading tropes that are, I'll say, even anti-Semitic in how they support a Nazi message of minimizing what the Holocaust was truly about.
It's a cancer eating at the United States of America as we speak. And yes, the Jews will suffer, Israel will suffer, but it's not a parochial problem. This is an attack on the very foundations of the United States of America by Holocaust-denying murderers. And they're gaining traction and momentum in our universities, in the halls of Congress, in the halls of Congress, in the halls of the Senate.
The International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance defines Holocaust denial as discourse and propaganda that deny the historical reality and the extent of the extermination of the Jews by the Nazis and their accomplices during World War II, known as the Holocaust or the Shoah. Holocaust denial refers specifically to any attempt to claim that the Holocaust or Shoah did not take place. Here at Georgetown University, a Catholic priest is doing his best to preserve the memory of the Holocaust by teaching students about the research that he's conducted over the past 20 years. Father Patrick Dubois and his team from Yahad in Unum, which means together in one, identified and commemorated the sites of World War II Jewish and Roma mass executions in Ukraine, Belarus, Russia, Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, Romania, and Moldova. One might wonder why a non-Jewish Catholic priest would embrace such a mammoth project.
You know, it was first for me a family story. My grandpa was deported in 1942 in Ukraine, but he never spoke about it. And suddenly he passed away, and suddenly I went to Poland, and suddenly my car was near the place where he had been deported. So in one night, it was like God's call. I didn't understand. I was only thinking Holocaust is the key of your life, but I knew nothing about Holocaust.
And as a part of the expeditions, Father Dubois spoke to survivors who confirmed that entire Jewish families were dragged from their homes by Nazi soldiers, executed at point-blank range, and buried in mass graves.
І от почалася оця ж катавасія. Гонять же їх туди, на той же тротуар, як кажуть, що, перешийок. А з тої сторони поставили ж пулемети і з пулеметів косять. І вони голі падають в цю могилу. Котлова.
In the middle were the Jews. The Germans walk along each side. And practically half, maybe even, all the residents of Shklo had to walk behind. And these Russian residents were forced to walk behind and watch the execution. They said, if you hide any Jews, look, this will happen to you.
There were about 5 to 8 steps to go down to their graves. There were 3 graves down there. There was a woman looking for her husband. That's when she saw them.
We are very slow, very quiet. We don't begin by Holocaust. We ask, where were you born? What was the name of your mom? What is the name of your father? What was the job of your father? Did you go to school? How many brothers? So, because we need to care. If you don't care with a witness, he will not speak. Sometimes we spend half an hour with these usual questions, so that the witness is surprised, because he thinks that we will go straight to the killing. And slowly, we don't ask a question with answer, say, where are Jews in the village? Oh, there are no Jews. What happened? What was the first problems? And they will begin. We are happy to speak. They never spoke since 42, most of them.
So now, Father Dubois is taking all Yahad and Unum's research and educating the world about the mass graves of the Holocaust through his award-winning book, The Holocaust by Bullets. He's also sharing about his findings in the class he teaches at Georgetown University called The Practice of the Forensic Study of the Holocaust. So what are some of the learning objectives of your class here at Georgetown?
I'm teaching here now since 9 years. It depends the class, it depends the topic. I teach to students who are in the Jewish Civilization Center, and also to students who are in security studies. I would say, for me, what is important is what they will do with that. Because I don't want them to be only impressed, I don't want them to say, oh, Father Dubois is wonderful, okay, but what? So I always ask them, what will you do in your life? What it will change? Because, you know, we are missing leaders in the planet. A university is like a fabric of leaders. You can be leader for money, you can be leader for politics, you can be leader for rewarming the planet, but who will be leader for peace and stopping genocide?
But the work at Georgetown is not the only aspect of what Yahad in Unum is doing to fight Holocaust denial. Here in Guatemala City, the organization is teaching students through a museum of the Holocaust that it founded.
Luego, estas calaveras en rojo van a representar los campos de matanza. ¿sí? Entonces aquí se nos muestran las dos modalidades. Toda la parte del holocausto por balas que inicia desde 1940 y estos símbolos que nos van a ubicar en los campos de matanza, ¿verdad? En donde se dieron los gaseamientos en las cámaras de gas.
Tour guides at the museum instruct over 20,000 students per year about the Holocaust. Yahad and Unum director Marco Gonzalez oversees the museum that is having a great impact on the younger generation. But why Guatemala?
What is surprising from Guatemala is that the government in 2016 passed the law to teach the Holocaust as part of the curriculum in the schools. So when Father Dubois, our founder and president at Yahad and Unum in France, saw this opportunity together with the Jewish community, we decided, why don't we open a Holocaust museum in Guatemala? It's a good opportunity for young people to come to understand the consequences of what was the Holocaust, but also to change the society in Guatemala today.
Welcome. This is our room of the map. Here we have in a point to explain to you all the places we went with our investigation team. They go to the Western Europe, and nowadays is the 400 trip investigation. So we have now 3,200 mass graves located. So those are the blue dots you see.
I want this museum to be really the reference for the region in order to understand the consequences of the Holocaust, the consequences of an ideology, the consequences of hate, racism, and that we could heal our society. We could help with the violence.
After Abel's death, the Lord called out to Cain,
"Where is your brother, Abel?"
"I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper?"
"What have you done? I hear the voice of your brother's blood crying out to me from the ground."
And it seems as the Holocaust becomes a more distant memory, the blood of the victims is increasing in intensity in places where graves are masked by a grassy terrain. And here in Alderney, the beautiful English Channel Island, it's difficult to believe that this place was once the site of Nazi occupation. Crimes were committed against the laborers who were transported here. There were difficult living and working conditions, as well as executions.
Here outside of the entrance to SS Lager Sylt, through here was the prisoners' compound, where the prisoners lived in their huts, and on this side was the SS guards' compound. They were here along with their vicious guard dogs. They enjoyed a far better life on this side compared to the terror that was experienced by the prisoners on this side of the camp.
Like Father Patrick and Yahad in Unum, Marcus Roberts is trying to preserve the Holocaust graves. Roberts is the founding director of J-Trails, the National Anglo-Jewish Heritage Trail, and is a professional heritage consultant. He has conducted over a decade of research into the Holocaust on Alderney and has campaigned for the preservation of Holocaust graves at the island.
There were prisoners from 27 different nations transported here. The majority of prisoners were almost certainly Russian, but there were also many Jewish prisoners sent here, not only from France, but from many other countries as well. There's been an underestimation of the number of Jewish prisoners sent to Alderney, but I should emphasize that when you look at the Alderney history, what's clear is that pretty much anyone could end up on the wrong side of the Nazi regime and end up here. There were Jehovah's Witnesses, and there was Germans in the camp here who had been arrested and sent to Alderney for simply being what was called work shy. So pretty much anyone could end up here.
Most agree that there were somewhere between 7,600 and 7,800 prisoners here at Alderney. But what people do not agree on is how many died here. Some say thousands, but in a May 2024 review, commissioned by the United Kingdom's post-Holocaust issues envoy, Lord Eric Pickles, the panel agreed that just over 1,000 perished as a result of ill treatment, a number that Roberts questions.
I spoke to a former director of Yad Vashem who, on this very matter about estimating prisoners' deaths, and he said it is very important but hard work to do it, but you have to base estimates on the best evidence, and it is important to do. And of course, many of the numbers of deaths in the Holocaust are estimations. The 6 million is an estimation. So that, in my mind, is one of the major failures of the Alderney Review. But also, they claimed that the Germans were not trying to kill prisoners on Alderney. They confused the issue with extermination centres with the issue of extermination, albeit more slowly through labour. One of the most erroneous findings was when they said that only 100 prisoners had died in SS Lager Sylt. Now, if you look at the plaque over there, the prisoners who came and laid that plaque back in the 80s, they said at least 400. Now, who do we believe?
While not confirmed, there is some thought that there were mass killings and executions on Alderney, and the counts could have been off because of the alleged ways that bodies were disposed of.
So before the cemetery was set up at Langy Common for the slave labourers, it is widely reported by survivors that they dumped many of the dead prisoners into the sea. You've just seen the breakwater, and there are many accounts of trucks driving to the end of the breakwater and dumping 8 or 10 bodies out of the truck into the sea off the breakwater. And I should of course explain that Alderney has some of the most powerful tides and currents in the world. So if you dump bodies into the sea at the end of the breakwater at high tide, they will be swept away, flushed away, miles away.
And while the Alderney Review claimed there were only 8 Jews who perished on Alderney, local resident Michael James says there is a document missing, penned by George Pope, who survived by helping the Nazis. His document could prove that hundreds of Jews lost their lives in the camps.
During the war, to feed his family, he became a fisherman to fish and provide food for the Nazis, but also for his family of 8 that lived in this house. And he was also a pilot for the Germans as well, helping bring their boats into the harbour. So he had freedom of access around the island. He was considered a friendly. In fact, he supplied vital intelligence to the British government by assisting 2 Guernsey fishermen that were here. They came here in December 1943, and in April they escaped in a boat that him and a farmer called Frank Oselton helped provide with fuel and enough support for them to escape the island. And they took back an incredibly detailed intelligence report that George Pope had prepared, where he told them about another Jewish camp on the island. So the reason why his report has been, I believe, hidden for so long is it holds the key to all of this. We have his summary, we know what he told them in the summary, but sadly they dismissed him as having collaborative activities.
With the blood crying out in Eastern Europe and Alderney, it is difficult to deny the Holocaust. With anti-Semitism on the rise worldwide, it is important to never forget what occurred during World War II, a mass genocide of innocent people, their futures wiped out by harsh conditions or a spray of bullets. And all that remains are their memories and their graves. How can we deny the deniers?
Be the truth. And see the other as yourself, and just imagine how you would feel if somebody approached you and say, you're not valid, you're not existing. You know, it's beyond comprehension, and why bother? You know, it's the Holocaust should be a symbol of suffering that should not have happened and should not happen in the future. And the lesson is being lost by having people who are deniers think that they are doing something that is so misguided, but they think they're so right.
More information is not going to solve it if that's all you do. You have to also address what's driving it. What's driving the denial? Why would anyone want to turn away from it? What are you turning away from? Understandably, we're turning away from an infinite responsibility to and for the other human being. As Elie Wiesel once said, at Auschwitz, not just men and women died, it was the very idea of a man, of a woman, of a human being died. We have to restore the idea of a human being. In other words, restore a deeper understanding of where does the holiness of the other human being lie. I think this is tied to human rights.
Silence empowers the oppression. Silence empowers the anti-democratic, the anti-American, the anti-humane, constituents in the United States and beyond. We have to speak out against evil, and we have to fight evil. We can't give boatloads and plane loads of cash to people who are calling for the extermination of anybody.
When an evil group attempts to wipe out the Jewish population, they are fighting against Almighty God, who chose the Jewish people as his own. 2 Samuel 7:23 says,
"And who is like your people, Israel? The one nation on earth that God went out to redeem as a people for himself, and to make a name for himself, and to perform great and awesome wonders by driving out nations and their gods from before your people, whom you redeemed from Egypt."
Deuteronomy 14:2 states,
"For you are a people holy to the Lord your God. The Lord has chosen you to be his treasured possession out of all the nations on the face of the earth."
And Zechariah 2:8 reminds us,
"He who touches you touches the apple of his eye."
those who wage war against the chosen ones, the Jewish people, wage war against the Redeemer and Protector of Israel, and they will have to answer for their actions in eternity. The countless Holocaust graves that have been discovered over the past 2 decades add to the body of evidence that already exists. The Holocaust should never be denied. It should only be remembered with a solemn heart, and humanity must do everything in its power to make sure that history does not repeat itself.
The preservation of graves is important to honour the memory and the very existence of the prisoners. From a Jewish perspective, honouring the site of the Jewish dead is of the highest importance. And within sort of Jewish religion and culture, there's a sort of a policy of leaving no one behind. So the reason why I'm so keen to make sure that the best estimations are made is so that we don't ignore those who perished and whose very existence is in risk of being expunged from history. So members of the review panel are saying the important thing is to have names and to remember people as people. But what I say is that for many victims of the Holocaust, all you have is perhaps a number that they existed, and that's equally important as well.
There are no words to say. I look to you. There are no words. There is and all is made new. Time won't erase the beauty of your face, and I will remember.
During this war, people assassinated more than 2 million Jews, plus an unknown number of gypsies, plus communists, etc. As I say, if it was nothing to assassinate 2 million Jews, why to care for one? So I think if we accept it stays like that, but it's forgotten in humanity, it's a catastrophe.
De películas, de libros que hemos leído, de lo que se ha platicado en el colegio, nadie lo va a calificar, entonces...
There are many proofs that it existed, and that before they decide to deny the Holocaust, they should study really what happened. And at the same time, we have to understand that there is a hate forever against the Jews, because nobody denies the other genocides. Nobody denies what happened in Rwanda. Nobody denies what Napoleon did. Nobody denies other genocides, but when we talk about the Holocaust, there's always this feeling that we are talking too much, or that it was not a big deal, or it really didn't happen, like the storybooks say. So it is important that we say to the people, well, here are the proofs that it happened.
Their blood cries out. Dr. Lisa Burkhardt-Worley, thank you so much for allowing us to showcase that for our audience today, for you at home, wherever you may be watching us around this great world. I know that my heart is just aching, it's breaking, it's got all kinds of questions going on, perhaps you as well, and maybe you're an actual survivor or you know someone who has survived such that tragic incident. And wow, we never know how blessed we really are. I want to thank you so much for being here today. My name is Rob Ekno. I will see you again, same time, same place, next week, here on Knoxville International Christian Film Festival Presents.